Hi everybody, I'm just some guy and today I'm going to review Age of X-Men. Alpha. Let's see if I can stay awake to do this review. Oh boy. Another event. This is like the fourth event for the X-Men in the last year. Actually, don't you already have an X-Men event going on? That shit with Cyclops? Enough, Marvel. Try to fix the X-Men with storytelling, not gimmicks, and definitely not this tired alternate reality gimmick. Seriously, Jordan White is running the X-Men right now, and I just have to wonder about the pitch for this idea. Did he come up with this? How'd it go? Hey, remember Age of Apocalypse? You know, when Legion accidentally killed Professor X instead of Magneto and the whole world went to shit? Remember House of M? When Scarlet Witch went batshit crazy and her brother Quicksilver convinced her to give the mutants everything they wanted? Remember Age of X? When Legion created an alternate reality where he was a hero and the mutants were more persecuted than ever? Okay, let's take everything that was cool about those alternate realities and throw it out. That's what this intro book feels like. Like every cool concept got ditched for the blandest setup of an event I've ever seen. The sad part is, the premise isn't bad. The idea is that X-Man, Nate Gray from the Age of Apocalypse, created an alternate reality where he's a founding member of the X-Men, and in this new world, at some point, everyone became a mutant. And now they live in this seemingly progressive utopia. Yes, I know, it's an oxymoron. That looks far more totalitarian the more you learn about it. And I'll just stop here for the well does. Okay, like I said, we've seen this story before, but it's not a bad idea. The execution, though. Yeah. This book is literary lunesta. I'm struggling just to stay awake thinking about it. Part of it is the art. Ramon Rosana's art is okay, but not for comics. This is like turn of the century art. The 19th century. Like Winsor McCay with digital colors. I keep expecting a little Nemo to pop up somewhere, and it'd be at because this art definitely takes you to Slumberland. It's just so boring. Rosanas is detailed, but the more I look at it, the worse it looks. I keep thinking that maybe he's using 3D models, because while the detailing is on point, the poses are so stiff and bland, and the expressions are just bizarre. There's no life to them, nothing behind the eyes. Except here. That's batshit crazy if I've ever seen it. That or Globs realized Mim Hedrum likes him and this is his "you like me? You really like me" face. Even the action scenes are boring, and that's when they work. When they don't work, like this scene with Iceman vs. Bishop, it's just bad. This is almost Black Mask Studios bad. Bare minimum, you need to get people interested, and this just isn't doing the trick. And it's made worse by the storytelling. Most of this book is exposition. Boring exposition. All the things you'd want to see are going to happen in solo titles, so this book is a little more than a quick setup. The problem is that there's no hook to really get you invested in the alternate reality. Thompson and Nadler start with Nate Gray monologuing about this perfect world. The setup for the world sounds similar to House of M, with the exception being that Nate deliberately made the changes instead of Wanda being used by Quicksilver, and that everyone is apparently a mutant now. Turning X-Men into this cult leader was a mistake on Marvel's part. What made X-Men cool was that he was Cable unleashed, but with a timer. The more he used his power, the sooner he would die. The alternate Sinister who created Nate actually designed him to burn out at 21 because of how powerful Nate is. To put his power in perspective, Nate's base power level rivals the Phoenix Force. He's the most powerful telepath, the most powerful psionic in any reality, and he can enter realities at random, alter them, and then go about his business. The only other character we've seen do something on Nate's scale so easily is Franklin Richards. So when you have someone with this scale of power and this interesting hook, it's a waste to turn him into a shaman and now some egomaniac. What makes it worse is that this is just a rehash of plot lines we've seen before. Do we really need another example of a powerful reality alterer changing the world to suit their wishes? You've done this like 3 times in the last decade. Let it go. Anyway, the X-Men show up and find that this perfect world is now frozen. Some mutant girl named Luna accidentally stopped everything from moving. Nate talks to her and takes her to the Summers Institute. As they're flying there, Luna mentions that the nurses told her that she couldn't go to the Institute until her 9th hatch day. That gives us a clue to how people are born in this utopian world. It's already got shades of Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World, and when Angel meets them and gives Luna a tour, we find out that the mutants are grown rather than born. That's clear eugenics. So if you were wondering what kind of utopia this world was, there's your answer. Honestly, this would have been the best place to start. If you're going to have a totalitarian world, you might as well begin with their pitch. That immediately lets us know what's going on without 8 pages of boring filler. The scene ends with Glob just staring at us with those googly eyes. And then there's the first of many captions telling us to find out more in the follow-up series. And no, that's not how this works. You don't say, hey, look at his eyes. You want to know what he's thinking? Read this other book. You gotta sell us on the setup in this book. Thompson and Natler never do a good job of that. They don't really have the space to flesh out anything either, and it seems like they're more interested in this weird procedural tone than telling a story. There's so much talking in this book. Sitting and talking. Standing and talking. Boring sex and talking. For the love of God, can we get some action? I had to ask. So let me set this up. The X-Men get back to wherever, and we get some backstory into the day when everyone became a mutant, and it went as badly as you'd expect. Everyone takes off to do their own thing, and then we get this pinky touch between Bishop and Jean Grey, because of course they're fucking. What? You weren't clamoring for mutant jungle fever? Racist. Nate sees this too, that you're racist, and that these two are engaged in forbidden love. So while everybody's doing their own thing, sorry, I just dipped off for a minute. Jesus Christ, why is it so boring? It's like a sleep aid with warm milk while sitting next to a fire. I get that they're in their perfect world, so there wouldn't be much for them to do, but damn, does it have to look this boring? Then we get back to forbidden love. Don't go near the fire. Don't go in the dark. Don't give in to your desire, because he's gonna break your heart. This ridiculous moment with Jean and Bishop, where we've got the deadest eyes imaginable. After the sex, which we mercifully don't see, Bishop tells Jean that he feels like he's done this before. Not the sex. Obviously they're fucking. It's that the scenario seems familiar. Repetition is the greatest aphrodisiac. Then we get this pointless scene with Nightcrawler acting in some film, and another caption telling us to find out more in another tie-in. Nope. Then it's back to Bishop and the most boring ambush I've ever read. It's obvious that the background is some kind of model. There's no life to it. We just get Bishop's inner monologue and then in comes the ambush. I guess Rosanas is trying, but it's just not working. The action is so stiff and bland, it took me 4 looks to realize that this thing in the middle of the page is a chain lock from the door. I kept thinking it was part of someone's suit. This whole thing is just a bad decision. For example, what's happening here? Is Bishop falling? Is he tripping? Does he get thrown? How? When did Iceman grab him? It's not clear. And then there's Bishop's panicked face when the girl shoves her finger tendrils into his head to read his mind. Look at the fear, the abject fear in his eye. So much terror. It's so moving, I might actually shift in my sleep. Quick question though. I get the cool, creepy factor of the girl shoving her fingers into Bishop's head, but why not have Psylocke read his mind? I mean, she actually does this anyway, so what's the point of worm fingers here? Then Iceman says to Bishop that he's been excommunicated, and we're told again to check out another book. No. We're also told that Bishop has been re-educated before and that this is going to happen to Jean. Okay. It'd be more helpful if in this book we understood what this meant. We shouldn't have to buy another book just to find out something that could be explained in the caption. Then we see how everything is changed by simply shifting the color scheme of the same background as before, but just removing Bishop from the panels. Jean meets up with Storm and can tell that something is different but can't explain what it is. Last time I checked, Jean's a fairly powerful telepath too. It'd be mighty difficult for X-Men to screw with her mind, but I guess we're just supposed to let that slide. Would have made more sense though if no other telepaths but Nate existed or were outlawed. Just throwing it out there since nobody else seems to care about X-Men history and continuity. Anyway, Bishop is replaced by X-23, and then Nate Gray shows the team a new propaganda leaflet from Apocalypse, which we're for the 4th time told to find out more about in a tie-in book. No, and that's what should have been said to this event. No! Think about it. You're in the middle of bringing Wolverine back. You're in the middle of bringing Cyclops back. You're in the middle of trying to make the X-Men books interesting again. Why are you doing this event? We've seen these types of stories before. I don't know if this event is going to be any good, but I'm not interested in finding out. The intro book is so plain that it's forgettable. I actually had to flip through the book as I did the review just to remember what happened. There's no wow moment, nothing to really make me come back for more. This is something that unless a big thing gets announced, I'm not even going to bother to follow. Enough with the alternate realities. What made those cool was the different takes on the X-Men. But because of all the changes to the real characters, these alternate takes just don't have much appeal anymore. The real good guys have turned bad. The real bad guys are now heroes. You just had young Cable kill the original Cable because the original wasn't good enough anymore or something to that effect. Who was clamoring for a young Cable? And why couldn't you just tell that story in its own book? Cable as an old man works. Cable as a young man doesn't because he's not Cable yet. Doesn't mean he can't tell the story. It's just not the Cable people are looking for. Decisions like that are only going to make the X-Men more irrelevant. It used to be that you could put an X on a book and guarantee at least 100,000 orders per title. Now, you need about 3 or 4 titles to get those numbers. You practically can't give X-Men books away, and that's so sad. Nothing's popular forever, but it's like Marvel squandered the X-Men's popularity out of spite, neglect, and arrogance. If this is what you think is going to put the X-Men back on top, you might want to have another go, cause this ain't doing anything like that. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.